Luca Nation. So, a little Friday episode here. I think this is 704, 705 of Lucas Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. And, a lot of stuff to talk about if we're going to be really candid. There's quite a few posts, from card porn to people from our community talking about grading standards, PSA now opening up value. What does that mean for breakers? What does that mean for wax? People are getting cards from PSA and sending them to SGC. People are getting cards from SGC, sending them to PSA, just to kind of figure out, this whole grading landscape. And you've talked about many, many times how important the grading landscape is for that bottom tier, right? Of that, not the pyramid scheme, but the pyramid to be able to level up, level up. So there's that. Got to give a shout out. People are still buying Lucas Tigers NFTs. Basically, a Luca Nation kind of access token, so to speak. It gives you a ton of value in the future that we don't even know because we bring it every day and we're getting better. At least I feel I am, and I know Cage, you are as well. But also free grading with SGC. Cigar night with the big man. Hopefully, we're going to have an open bar. We're still planning. So cigar night at National, back in the day, we had a Dibs partnership for 1 month. We said, let's give back to the community, sent that out in reward payments via PayPal. So if you're thinking about getting the Lucas Tigers NFT, literally search Lucas Tigers on OpenSea. Super simple. It's $100 right now based on the current ETH price, 0.06 ETH. And it's like a membership token. It's like a country club token to Lucas Tigers, Luca Nation.
Well, think about that. With the price of ETH right now, it's $100. Gas is like very little. And if you buy one and message us, I'm sure you're going to get that back in free SGC grades.
That's true because originally it was $200 when ETH was $4,500.
Yeah. Anybody who buys one right now and messages us, you're going to get some SGC grades. I mean, it really is pretty amazing to think about. Not to mention, we'll figure something out. There's we've sold 300-400 of these, whatever it is. A bunch of people have a bunch of them. We probably have 200 unique holders. Maybe, anybody who comes up to me at National shows me they have a tiger in their wallet, maybe they just get a free slab. There you go. Maybe it's free slabs giveaway at the cigar night. Here you go, slab for you, slab for you, slab for you. Who the hell knows? We'll figure it all out, man. I mean, what I say to people, because I get messages all the time, and I do not push the NFT. I don't even know, when people buy them. We don't even talk about it. But people will ask me, they'll say, hey, tell me about the NFT. I hear about it with, SGC grading. I hear about all I'd love to support you guys. It's a lot of free content. Why not? I buy one and it supports you guys. Thanks. That's awesome. We appreciate it. So, if you're interested in owning a Lucas Tiger NFT artwork by my daughter, got a little heat for that, but I don't care. It's cool, and we're definitely going to make sure that everybody who owns one of these things is happy. We've been doing it already with that Dibs sponsorship, with the free SGC grading. I'm sure the National will have something set up. We got a bunch of partners and a bunch of people reaching out to us to, coordinate combined efforts with them at National. Do an event with us, do a happy hour with us, do whatever it is. We'll make sure that the NFT holders that I already did a cigar night at Mint.
Right.
Hey now, we're
and a cigar night at last National before we had Tiger holders. But did we do a cigar night, or was that just you smoking cigars with?
It was just me smoking cigars. Smoking cigars provided by Reckless. So that was pretty awesome. And just whoever was hanging out with us, we just did a little cigar out in front of one of the hotels late at night.
If it's okay with you, I'm thinking of renaming Lucas Tigers NFT to Luca Nation NFT.
Okay. I mean, they're called they're tigers. That's the only reason why we call them Lucas Tigers. Oh. So they're tigers. You know what I mean? So it's the double tiger, Tiger Woods, because it's Lucas Tigers of Bronze, and they're actually tigers. So it's just Lucas Tigers. So that was why we did it. They're still tigers. So but yeah, Luca Nation Tiger. I mean, whatever. However you want to do it, man. It does. Everybody knows what they are. And I was on Twitter today. just messing around. I saw Jan Morning still has the Twitter. The tiger as his PFP and. It's nice to see that stuff. We do, Andrew and I come on here every day. That doesn't make us robots. We are still people. We do see this stuff. We do read your messages. And I love each and every one of them. I really do. Even the ones that come after me, man. I mean, it's part of the gig. It's part of the People do. You know,
Who?
it happens.
Tell me right now.
You've
I won't,
you've seen it.
off the record.
But even those, I don't
Not
mind.
for public. Not for public.
Yeah, not for
consumption.
public consumption. You bum. Did you look up what that meant? So, but still, it's all part of the discourse,
I'm not
right?
a lawyer.
And listen, I am. You know, I'm guilty of swinging one direction or the other, and it's funny. We had Mitch on to talk about the PSA, talk about everything, and I at the end just dropped in a little
big swinging Kareem 8.5s. Is that what you were referencing?
No. I'm talking about we had Mitch from Bullpen on, and I dropped in my PSA return because it was fresh on my brain. You know, we just got those numbers back, but the day after, I got a PSA return with a lot of 10s in it. You know, and it was not a bulk. It wasn't an old one. It was a new one. You know, I don't want to paint, so I know you read into whatever that is. Also, during this week, I posted my crappy box of Prism football. I will put that box up against almost anybody's box. It's terrible. And, of course, I went back to the store today to buy some Topps Baseball Series 2 to open with Ian. And I mentioned to the guy who sold me the box, hey, look what I got. It's kind of crappy. And one of the guys was in the store opening Topps who was there, and he had a Trevor Lawrence auto in his first box, same case, same present case. And the guy who owns the store showed me that somebody pulled a Trey Lance silver auto, and also pulled a one of those manja. I'm gonna call them manja. I don't care if it's a manga. It's manja. Manja Paisan. The cartoon cards of Justin Herbert out of the case. I just didn't pick the box that had those.
What do you think about Trey Lance?
I don't think he's going to be that good.
Not enough to even go by right now. Here's what I think. Most upside is him, right? Because his car prices can't be that expensive. He didn't play it all last year.
They are pretty expensive, though.
They are, even without him playing.
Yeah, they are pretty expensive. It's a quarterback. People jump on the quarterback. They all have the same idea as you, which is, there's a lot of upside here, and the upside gets taken out because everybody's trying to buy it.
I really respect Kyle Shanahan. I think he's one of the smartest kind of young coaches in the game, and I think he has some weapons. I think Garoppolo is terrible. First off,
he has a very slow release. He does not make a lot of the NFL throws that need to be made. He reminds me of a thinner, a little more nimble Tua. You know what I mean? They're gonna have to create a playbook for him that is limited. And the NFL, you want a quarterback who can make all the throws and make all the plays. Sure. It's good to have somebody who can run. I mean, look what Josh Allen does up in Buffalo, right? He's running, throwing, you name it, right? And there are a lot of running, throwing quarterbacks, and I'm sure they'll be able to build some stuff with Trey Lance that they wouldn't be able to do with just a pocket passer. But
look what that 49ers team did with Garoppolo. Garoppolo, I don't know if you watched them versus the Packers.
They could have beat the Rams.
He couldn't make any throws.
Yeah.
So he might not be, Patrick Mahomes level or even potential, but he might be an upgrade over Garoppolo. And could that be enough?
I mean, you usually like to see somebody who's putting up all the numbers and has that star appeal, right? I mean, winning doesn't necessarily make you a hobby darling. Matthew Stafford just won the Super Bowl. There's not that many people buying his cards. I know it's a different comparison. He's not a young quarterback who has a lot of upside, baked in, where his career is basically done. But you understand what I'm saying. Just being on a team that you win on doesn't make you a hobby darling. You got to be the reason that you're winning. I mean, look at it. Herbert wins. They have all those numbers because of Herbert's arm. Brady's making all the throws. Brady's the star. Joe Burrow was the one who led those guys, right? It wasn't a running back. It wasn't he has decent middle-of-the-road quarterback numbers, but the running back and the defense are taking him there. When that happens, all of a sudden the hobby love disappears. You need to have wins and the stats. But anyway, let me just finish really with the Manja card. So, of course, that meant maybe the Prism box I got was just not the good box. Today, Ian and I opened up 2 boxes of Topps Series 2, one regular, which is no guaranteed auto, and the Jumbo, which has a guaranteed auto. We did not get an auto, and every numbered card was a Red Sox, and I'm terrible. That's miserable as a Yankee fan. And the only hit was a Craig Biggio unnumbered piece of his bat. Hall of Famer. People know him now because his son Kevin Biggio plays for Toronto, but it's not like when you want to hit in a box, but it's a cheap enough box, and I'm opening these to have something to open with my son, which is what we all ask for, right? It was $85 for a regular box, not killer. That's like exactly what there should be some boxes to open. The Jumbo box was $150. So $150, guaranteed auto. We got a redemption. You can see what we pulled on my page if you want to go take a look. You got Smiley Ian. And so he was happy. Anyway, I'll tell you what it is because that's not fair. Listening to the podcast, I don't leave you hanging like that. That's not what we do. But it's cool to think about how quickly time flies. But back in 2017, they did this border again because I guess every 5 years it's cool. So like Aaron Judge in 2017 has rookie cards, and now Wander's going to have them too. The 1987 Topps, one of my favorites, the wood border design on the Topps card. We got a redemption for an 87 Topps All-Star. That's a little subset. Ken Griffey Jr. autograph. I imagine he'll sign it. I know he's had live autos in a lot of products. And, so, yeah, we got a redemption. And it was Ken Griffey Jr., an auto for Ken Griffey Jr. Like 87 Topps deal. So, we'll turn that in. But that was nice for $150 box. We got Ken Griffey Jr. Yeah, so he was happy.
Here I am, like, going to give, like, this kind of motivational speech in that as you get older in life, and this is something I've learned, is that dead ends could also actually be blessings in disguise. One of those, from my experience, is you've seen me when I gamble and when I don't. Gambling is a dead end. I think I know sports no worse than winning people, than winning gamblers, but it's not my thing, right?
Yep.
And every time I've been in that space, gambling, betting, sports betting, it's always run me into a dead end. But then when I don't do it, it brings beauty. Our podcast grows. I'm able to do more business stuff. Book guests, find sponsors, give back to the community.
Not be miserable. Go to sleep not hating yourself.
Be happy. Well, happiness, you've heard that. Like it's happiness isn't the destination, it's the way or something like that. Like there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way.
I like that one. It's good. The journey, not the destination.
So you actually did well on this box. Griffey Jr.
Griffey Jr. auto, it's redemption, which kind of sucks. But what's funny about
there's not a lot of Griffey autos.
Two guys open. Right? Well, he was live in other Topps products. I mean, a friend of mine, I gave him a box for Christmas, and he pulled a Griffey Jr. auto out of it. I think it was like Heritage, maybe. But what's amazing about it is two guys opening jumbos from the same case in store. I think the jumbo's like a 6-box case, right? So two opened. There were, one was being shipped to someone, one was still in there. And I grabbed this box instead of the other one had a little dent in it. I'm sure that dented one has the one of one fucking Wander in it. But anyway, the two guys opening, first one opened. He pulled a J-Rod 1987 Topps rookie auto.
Who's that?
Julio Rodriguez, the top rookie now in this stuff. The one from Seattle.
Is he good?
Very. And the other guy pulled an 87 Topps auto, Shohei Ohtani.
Cool.
So with the 3 boxes I saw open have Griffey, Ohtani, and J-Rod autos. And so, I mean, that was a hell of a case. So thanks, Topps.
Do you think manufacturers stack first off the line so that they get the best hits up front?
I mean, I think there's probably something to it, which is the reason why they even created something called first off the line. It's probably the hobby mystery, right? Like, the first boxes that come off the line worth more. I got an idea. Let's do first off the line boxes, So, I mean, it's always been something that's there. Like first day issue was a Top Stadium Club. I remember 93 maybe was the first time they did that. And they put like a little, or 92, Stadium Club. They put like a little like box on it. It's the first day. Then they did like little gold foil on it, first day issue. That was, I think, a precursor to numbering cards. So that was like the first parallel, really, that and refractors. So, I doubt there is, but I mean, look, I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing would surprise me.
What else is top of mind? What else you got going on?
Well, I'm happy we don't
have to wait
Game 4
tonight.
Yeah, I'm happy we don't have to wait 47 days for Game 4. I'm a little surprised. The Celtics are like minus 240 to win the series now. And to me, I saw that this morning. Like they were like plus 6,000 in December or November. They were still like plus 2,000 in like January at some books. And now you have to lay 240 to win 100. To me, that's a little weird because
they're up a game, Cage.
Right, and I know they're favored tonight, but I mean, if the Warriors win tonight, the Celtics are only favored by 3 points. The Warriors win tonight. Not only is the series even, but the way the finals are, they go back to Golden State for Game 5.
Yeah, but that's not how minus 240 works.
I know.
I think minus 240 is low.
You think there should be more?
Yeah, because so remember the stat you gave of 82% implied.
Yep.
So minus 240 isn't just a random number; it's called implied probability.
Yep.
So there's like a table. So I mean, minus 300. If I'll find this because I don't want to make stuff up. Implied probability from odds.
Yep.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why that is there and why you can't just go by that number is because most of the teams that went up 2-1 might have gone on to win 4-1. They were significantly better. They won a lot of the stuff. These have been, I mean, they're close. They're closely matched teams, as shown by the spread of each game being 3 points in either direction. I don't think that this one has to go straight to 82%, which would be like a 400, like a minus 400. I know what you're saying.
That's correct.
And I think you can't just go by that straight math because the better number would be just bet on them to win.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just bet them to win the game tonight. You know what I mean? Like, it would just get so, because they're at home.
The challenge with that is, like, I mean, all this stuff is so nuanced, the sports betting stuff, but just real quick, minus 250 is a 71.4% implied probability.
Okay. So that's probably about right because even though it's 82% overall, these teams are not going to fit in that 82%. That 82% includes, like, the Bulls winning, against, the teams they played against because they were up 2-1. You know what I mean? Like, this is a much closer series. So I think 70-something% probably is fair.
That's fair. ESPN, did you see ESPN's odds before the series started? It was
86% to 14%. But I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, the Warriors are champs. I mean, this is a team that's been there before. They know how to play. I would not be surprised if back against the wall, they come out firing tonight, especially when the young Celtics team is maybe reading their own clippings. Maybe, oh, wow, we're up 2-1. When the team that's 1-1 is up 2-1, they win 82% at the time. They just think the statistics are going to, like, carry it for them. You still got to go out there and win, and they're not going out there to beat, like, the Pelicans.
Do you remember the Seattle Seahawks team of 10 years ago with that defense?
Yes.
Do you remember how unstoppable and relentless that defense really was?
Yeah.
And no matter what was thrown at them, they were such a mismatch. I'm starting to wonder if odds makers are seeing the Celtics team on defense like that. And especially versus the Warriors, they pose so many mismatches, man. They're really long. They're really tough to shoot over. Like, Steph in general isn't the tallest guy. And having to shoot over Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, these are not easy matchups for them.
Of course.
If you remember the Mavs series, Mavs are a much shorter team, much less athletic, and that favored them.
But I guess what I'm saying is when they hit the shots, they hit the shots. Game 2, third and fourth quarter, they were not missing. Third quarter in game 3, not missing. They were up huge for most of the game in game 1. Like this, I understand what you're saying. What I give the Celtics credit for in game 1 and game 3 is that they had the much better fourth quarters. Right? The Celtics turned it on in the fourth quarter. They came from behind and basically shot the lights out. And in game 3, they weathered the third quarter storm from the Warriors and then turned it on and turned on defense when they had to in game 4. They couldn't do it in game 2. Game 2 was just finished. So who knows what happens? To me, it's a much tighter matchup than I think that the 80-something% odds and the minus 240 or whatever it is show because, these teams, they're I think it's a good matchup, right? And if Golden State's hitting their shots, I think they win. I mean, that's as simple as that.
Who's hitting the shots? Because other than Steph, Clay and Poole have been pretty consistent.
We talked about that. Those are the two guys. They have to show up with some – one of the two of them has to have a big night. Wiggins has to do his thing, right? Steph has to do his – Steph's going to score 30 points. That's what Steph's just been doing. But, yes. And I think tonight it's got to be Clay. Because Clay is the one who came out publicly and talked about the fans, talked about how they were being vulgar, even though, come on, these guys were the ones that their fans were the ones that threw shit at Charles Barkley, right? I mean, come on, this is just part of the sport here.
This whole complaining about fans is very weird to me.
Yeah, odd. But he's now got to step it up. Whereas Poole, I would imagine, I could count on Poole more in Game 5 because he's young and he plays significantly better at home. I wouldn't expect Poole to show up tonight and have like a lights out game on the road in Boston with the fans going crazy. It just seems to get to him, and you'd think by now Clay would be able to turn it on.
I'll say, man, I've been going back and forth with one of our fans, a really awesome guy, Trouble T. Roy, shout out. I think the NBA is in trouble, and I'll explain why. Like Poole, Poole will use as the best example because the guy's had a really good year, and he's improved. But this guy's probably going to get a max contract.
Right.
And the question becomes, is he worth 135 mil? And then we go down the board and we're like, Zion has a max contract. Michael Porter Jr. Ben Simmons bought a $23 million house in LA. If you guys want to go see this place, go to Boardroom. And we're thinking about this. It's like, okay, we know how incentives with human beings work, right? You work hard, you get a promotion. You work hard, you get a promotion. But if you get a promotion before you work hard, what's the incentive to work hard, right? It's demotivating. That's why we talk about contract year. Who's in a contract year on the Yankees right now? Say his name. Say his name. Say his name is Aaron Judge. The guy's been terrible.
Pay that man his money.
And now he's leading the league in home runs. The guy's dominating, on pace for 65 home runs. That's what motivation is, right? Yo, This is your contract year. Show out. You see this on every single team sport. Well, in the NBA right now, it's a little backwards, but what we have is so much talent. We have LeBron, Durant, Curry, all the way down. These guys were not part of the league during the max contract era. They came into it as it was kind of ascending together. But now you have a lot of talent who hasn't done anything, who's going to make insane money, like not base money. Like Charles Barkley made like $4 million.
You know what you are doing right now? You're becoming the old. You are switching yourself from the millennial generation into mine. You're moving your way towards, go ahead, kids, smoke the lawn, to, hey, kids, get off my lawn. And I love to see it, right? Because here's the deal. You're forgetting one part. The league is not in trouble. The franchises are not in trouble. They're going to be worth more and more. They've gone up so much in the last 10 years. The owners are making so much more money. I understand your point being that, hey, these kids are all going to make some money. But my take on it is they may be making some money, but the league and the owners and the product out there is making even more. That's why the numbers sound so crazy. And yes, to you, me, who are struggling, this week to try to make a couple $100. The fact that this kid is going to be making $150 million or $200 million, whatever the hell is max contract, it's unfathomable money. But, it's without fathom, unfathomable. So
I think a lot about cause effect. And I think that they're making money right now because of the effect of so much good talent. Okay. Right? Think about how much amazing talent from basically 2000 to 2020 that the NBA has seen. And that talent has had to compete and get better, and they were incentivized.
Yes, the athletes are better, but I think in the next 20 years, athletes will be even better. It happens every generation. The game will keep up with the athletes. There'll be the better science. There'll be better nutrition. No one thinks that the athletes can be better. I grew up watching Michael Jordan, thinking this is the pinnacle of the game, and then and he averaged 30-something points, 37 points a game, whatever the hell it was, when the league was scoring 112. Then Kobe showed up and averaged 35 when the league was scoring 97. Then LeBron showed up and he spent $1 million a year on his own physical condition. The next whoever it's going to be is going to look back at this generation and say, "Wow, they had LeBron and a bunch of scrubs." I'm telling you, dude, that's the way it happens.
But all these guys had to, except for LeBron. LeBron is such a unique guy. I honestly got to give him hats off because he came in the league with a full plate of food and abundance, and he completely, first off, he's never had legal trouble, which is incredible, right? For an 18-year-old kid. Then he's so mature. He basically carried a team on him. But everyone else has had to earn their lunch, earn their keep. You've heard that before, right?
Yeah.
What happens, my question is, in 2030 to the NBA, when the players don't have to earn their keep? Zion, who was deemed the next LeBron, well, he's $100 million guy already.
Yeah, so what do you think? He's not going to play?
I think it's demotivating. I think he's not in the weight room as much as LeBron. I don't think he's training as much as LeBron.
So you're worried about the quality of ball that's out there. I think that what'll happen.
And the quality comes from hard-working competition.
Okay, but that'll always be there. Steph was not drafted first. He's small. He had to build himself up. He had to work. He had to take lesser money to build himself up to where he is now. There'll always be that. Because when there are these max contracts, there's always going to have to fill out a roster with people making less money who are going to say, okay, Zion, if you're going to be fat and eat the Krispy Kremes, I'm going to step up and I'm going to take your minutes. And then I'll earn the money the next time around. There's always going to be that, man. There's always that player that comes out of school and is drafted at the end of the first round. Kobe wasn't the first player picked. And I'm sure he used that as a chip on his shoulder. Aaron Rodgers was a late first-round pick. Tom Brady, perfect example, right? I mean, he didn't make so much.
Those guys are going to be gone.
That will repeat itself, right? Because what you're saying may be right, that maybe the top-line talent, but you can't – there's still a salary cap. When you have that max guy, you're still going to need number 6, 7, 8 on your roster. It's still going to have to be creative money. And those guys are hungry. Those are the guys that are going to go out there and surprise you, right? The Nick Van Exels who were taken in the second round. I'm just using my 8. I come up with, people now. I mean, when was Mikal Bridges drafted?
I love Mikal Bridges. I think
know
he's
what
a
I mean?
great buy right
But
now.
another example, right, of somebody who didn't come out with his lunch given to him, no deals, you name it. And even though Luca's doing his thing, and even though Zion's doing his thing, Ja's doing his thing, Mikal Bridges is going to go and earn himself a big contract, right? There are players like that. Devontae Graham, who I talk about all the time.
Ayton is another guy. Like, would you give him a max contract?
But maybe, because these guys are making so much money. Did you see who the newest billionaire in the NBA? LeBron. Did you see what he announced today?
He wants to open a team in Vegas.
He wants to own a team. How much do you think that team's going to be worth? A basketball team in Vegas.
But my point is, look at Game 7.
If they have to pay somebody $200 million, who cares? You know how much money he's going to make?
But, look at that.
Whoever has the franchise.
And maybe I'm very too rational about this, but, to me, it's motivation and incentives drive behavior. And DeAndre Ayton, his last game, he didn't show out for Game 7. That whole team didn't show up for Game 7. They didn't compete hard, right? And now in the offseason, you're going to reward him more than likely with $100 million, whether that's the Suns or another team. So
I understand.
Here you have a guy who, in a trying moment, right, in trench warfare, when it counts, faded. And not even that he didn't play well, he didn't compete hard. And now you're going to hand him $100 million, which is more than any player in the 90s made.
I understand. So let's go through who's in it now, right? When was Jaylen Brown drafted?
16.
Number 6. No, what number in his draft?
Oh.
Because let's just look at that draft, right? I mean, obviously Ben Simmons is a good example of what you're talking about. He had his money handed to him. He just bought himself a $25 million piece of land. But go through that draft.
Think about that. Think about missing work for an entire year. And then buying a $23 million house. It blows my mind.
It's just different. It's different. And every generation is going to say the same exact thing. All right? You want to laugh? Who's the best female artist right now?
Jaylen Brown was third.
So
third pick.
Right. And so go through the rest of that draft if you want to pick any draft.
Simmons,
people,
Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown, Dragan Bender, Chris Dunn, Buddy Hield, Jamal Murray, Marquise
Buddy Hield, Jamal Murray,
Jacob Pirtle, Thon Maker, DeMontis Sabonis, Torian Prince, Georgius Papa. Dude, the Kings are the worst. They're the worst. They drafted a Greek street vendor, literally.
Anyway, the point there being, basketball is different, man, because almost everybody who plays is an elite talent anyway. And if the person who you give your money to, if what you're going to say is they're not going to be motivated and you have to be more careful, more mindful about what you're giving your money to, that's fine. That's great. I understand it. Maybe you're risking something because these people are going to have their money. But, I mean, it's always been a thing. Even the NFL where the contracts are not guaranteed. I bring up Jamarcus Russell all the time, and that was part of the reason why contracts were changed. You know what I mean? And maybe that happens in the NBA. Who knows? I mean, you're kind of already seeing it with Zion, right? He hasn't been offered the max deal yet, has he? And there's talk about him getting an NFL-style contract as well. So, I mean, you might be on to something, and I guess we'll see. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else I have for you. I just, look, I like this matchup, the Celtics and the Warriors. I'm excited for tonight's game. It'll be fun to watch because obviously Celtics go out there and win tonight. I mean,
guys, we have an insane giveaway on Whatnot. By the way, I might pin it. I might pin it today so that you guys could go enter into it. It's super simple. We're just
got to be following us on Whatnot.
It's just Luca Nation on Whatnot, 2 words, and it's a $500 card. This is a Steph Curry National Treasures Game Worn PSA 4. Just kidding. PSA 10. Incredible card. It's a very, very nice card.
It's PSA 10. We'll show you. It's a picture of it. It's good stuff. We'll post it up there. You follow Monday giveaway. Big time giveaway. Steph. And a whole bunch of slab sales and a whole bunch of other fun stuff coming on Monday.
Do you have any takes on the PSA? So PSA's been all up on Instagram today with people, I sent in a card that was a PSA 6. It looked perfect.
Well, I saw the one that our guy reposted from Facebook, and it was it was a Herbert that came back a PSA 4. He's like, this is not a 4. I cracked it, sent it back, and it's a 10. You know what I mean?
It was a PSA 6, but yes.
It was a 4. And you'll all have to wait now till Andrew proves himself wrong.
You're literally right all the time, but people like egg on my face, so I do it.
I got it.
PSA 4.
Hey,
Cage is always right. He's the smartest person in the world. I'm so lucky to have you.
No, because I remember thinking to myself, all right, a 6, fine. I've seen some 6s. I've gotten plenty of 6s, only in recent grading. I never got a 6 for years, but now I'm getting 6s. But a 4, you gotta do something for a 4.
I love this, and here's why I love it. So you guys know I'm a staunch supporter of competition capitalism, like true capitalism. Social capitalism is where I'd probably put myself. Make business is number one job, make money. Number 2 is take care of their community. And I'd actually say it's 1A, 1B, like a little Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown action on that. I love all these new grading companies. I love Rare Edition. I love FCG. I love HG. I love all these companies coming into the space because what happens is true competition. Over time, the cream rises to the top. Because don't forget, Dr. Beckett and BGS, Beckett was number 1 for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Very long time when it came to modeling. And now we look at BGS and people might, I don't even know anyone subbing to BGS right now. They're in turmoil. They're hiring a new CEO acting like this is going to save us.
But think about that, right? How do you know?
I don't know.
Say? Yeah, I mean, like, isn't the fact that all these new companies coming in and changing the game up and putting the pressure on them, doesn't it show? Hey, we got to get a new CEO. We realize we got to clean up our act, right?
But PSA, Joe Orlando built that shit up, man. He built that up, and there was a buyout. A collector came in the game. He was like, "I'm going to be the CEO." Pushed Orlando out. Great, and now they're trading on the reputation of 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and we know how this works. It's always a lagging measure, and I think over the next 6 months, year, people are going to catch on to this bullshit and say, wait a second, I sent in a bulk sub. It took 18 months to get my cards back. My cards are a third of the value. I got a PSA 6. Why would I keep sending the money to this company? Oh, and by the way, if I get a PSA 10, they're going to upcharge me. Any thoughts? Those are my thoughts on it. Let me know yours, because you're PSA all day. That was you.
I 100% was, and I'm still sending stuff to PSA, and I'm thinking about what I could send at $30, and I send stuff to SGC. I send stuff to SGC every month. I think we're falling into a groove here where it's there are certain cars that go to certain companies. I will tell you, I have no proof, and one sub, 2 subs, that are this time, it's all anecdotal. I can just tell you the numbers that we have. I'll show you the cards when they come back in. I can just tell you what I have in front of me. It definitely gives the indication that, to get through the backlog, they've got some young graders who are saying, just go ahead and give it whatever you want. Just don't give any 10s. I mean, like, that's kind of what it looks like. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's not happening. And I also want to, just backtrack it a little bit, right? So Nat came in, took PSA over, and had literally millions of cards backlogged. If we take this off the table, this conspiracy theory that I've thrown out that, hey, they're getting through the backlog by not giving out any 10s, they're going to clear the backlog, right? So if you just think about it from a high level, not from a craziness, right? Nat takes over, and let's think about what we wanted him to do, what we wanted PSA to do. We wanted them to clear the backlog, and we wanted them to bring prices back down to something that we could all utilize. So where we stand...
Wait, time out.
Yeah.
With... number 1, doing their job well, with actually grading cards. Like, it's not clear the backlog.
Right, but we see. Listen, so you know how this works, right? I mean, you see how this works, right? When we post a video on YouTube, right, and 1,000 people watch it, sometimes in our DMs we get a nice message from somebody saying, "Hey, how nice this is," or "Hey, thanks for all the great things you do." But the YouTube comments, the people who are loud, that loud minority, they're slamming us sometimes on YouTube. Oh, Cage, you're an idiot. Oh, Cage, I would never want you to cross-examine. Look, you let these guys get away with it. So I'm wondering whether or not, the people who are getting their PSA 9s and 10s in their bulk orders, if they just take their 9s and 10s and they're quiet about it. And the reason why this sounds like it's a bigger issue than it is.
To step out. when we
Let's
get those messages, we respond and we say, "Wait, it's okay."
But you
I
said
hear your
PSA
point.
was responding today, right? You said, or oh no, you said that just people were
No,
posting
what
about it.
PSA does is they give you a PSA 4. What are you going to do and say, "Hey, look, this PSA 4 is not a PSA 4." You send it back. Now you have to pay 50. You paid $58 to get a 4 and then a 10. So you have no consistency in the grading and you have no accountability either. And by the way, if I give you a PSA 4, I still charge you. If I give you a PSA 10, I still charge you. And by the way, if I give you a PSA 10, I'll probably upcharge you. So I make money on these three different ways.
I get it, but what I'm saying is that 410, right? You worked in a cafe. Every once in a while, the smoothie consistency is not the right way. Every once in a while, and those are the people who are going to complain. Those are the people who leave a review for you on Yelp. Those are the people who come in and make a scene, not the 20 people who you did the smoothie right for. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be an apologist here, but you understand what I'm saying, right?
And what I do is, okay, if it's one smoothie out of the entire morning rush, I'm like, dude, guys, you guys are killing it. But if it's 7 out of 45 and then it's 10 out of 52 and then it's 23 out of 100, then you start, guys, like something's up. Like all these people can't be wrong there. Smoothies suck. Maybe it's internal and we're addressing it.
Well, I mean, 3.6 million cards are going to be wiped away, backlog in a couple of months. You would like to think that, a story by me, a story by this person, a story by that person, you would see more when there's 3.6 million cards, millions of cards being graded. Yeah, I think you would see more problems.
You want more bad smoothies. More bad smoothies.
No. What I'm saying is that 99% of the smoothies are probably done the right way, and you're only hearing about or seeing about on social media the 1%. I could be wrong, man, but I'm trying to present another view here. Not apologist, not too apologist, but I mean, yeah, it makes a good headline to say, look, this one cracked, and this one, this one was a 4, now it's a 10. Could that happen? Sure. I'm sure it could happen. I just think that the people who are getting their 9s and 10s don't post. They don't say, "Oh my God, look at this 10 I got from PSA. I thought it was going to be an 8." Like, who's posting that? Nobody. You know what I mean? So, it's the other side of the equation. I am only saying this because I can only talk about what we got back. I did talk about that, and it was pretty piss poor. So, use that for what it's worth. But, to go and say now, that PSA has some sort of a systemic issue with the whole deal, I don't think that the evidence that's out there lets us get that far.
I think without a shadow of a doubt, the evidence has proven it. And it's something that I've been watching for a year and a half. I've been watching specifically pre-serial. So if you look at the PSA certification, pre-42, 42, maybe 042, but it's the 42 is the number. 42 was about the beginning of 2020.
Yep.
Okay. Pre-42 serial number were graded with much more leniency. Post 42 to about 51 was graded much more tough. 51 to where we are now is just graded inconsistently. That's what I've seen. Pre-42, I mean, that was 2017 to 2020. I just think it was a little bit more lenient. 42 to 51 serial number, much more tough. After 51, I've just noticed just this insane inconsistency. And 51 is where they started catching up on the backlog.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, I can't. Because I'm not there and because I don't see all of the stuff, I can't tell you one way or another. I think both sides, are very possible.
I'm a singles guy. Like, I only have bought singles. I'm not a breaker. I don't join breaks. I've never really even broken a card and sent it to get graded maybe like 3 in my life. Like, that's not my game. I'm a singles guy. I look at this shit. This is what I do. And when I got into hobby, it was PSA. I signed up for that platinum bag, all that stuff. So I have been watching it. It's always going to be anecdotal because I can't have proof. Like it's
right.
It's impossible to have proof.
Yeah.
So it's all going to be hearsay for in this topic.
PSA has the proof, and you would like to think that if they saw, what it looks like they're seeing here, and that they would be looking into it. And
but did you know this? If there was like a fly in the smoothie, right? And so we made a smoothie, someone drank it. They wouldn't even be able to prove that we were the ones that put the fly in because they could have put the fly in after they left the store.
Right. So you're going all with the customer is always right type of thing, right? It's not the way it is. And let me say this also, right? So we're sponsored by SGC. I broke one single box of Prism, right? Prism UFC, and I sent a bunch of cards to SGC from that box. And Panini Prism quality control has just been awful. It just has. Same thing with this football product. I mean, I think I've seen 4 Mac Jones golds, and all of them have print lines and stripes on them, basically. But anyway, just go with me here. I pulled out the best cards: the Bron Breaker bases, the Gable Stevenson bases. A Kevin Owens blue. I think I had in there. There were a couple silvers, and I sent them to SGC. And at the same time, I sent one card, my best one from the box, as part of a 20-card sub to PSA at $50 a card. Okay. And same box, same card. Like, they all look nice, right? But this was a Roman Reigns blue. So it was the nicest one of them all. Nice by value, not nice by condition. And I sent them to SGC. SGC, I got back all 8s, 9s, 8.5. I think I got 1 9.5 out of all of the Prism Wrestling. The Roman Reigns.
But they were all within a range, right?
8.5, 8.5. No, I mean, like, the bases were all 8s, basically. 8s, 8.5, 9. I think I got 1 9.5. That's a pretty wide range for SGC. And the PSA one came back a 10. The PSA Roman Reigns blue came back a PSA 10. I mean, not back yet. I got the grade yesterday. They upcharged me on a couple of cards, but that was not one of them. But it's a 10. So in this box, everything I sent to SGC is like giveaway fodder now, but the one I sent to PSA is a 10. So, I mean, look, that doesn't negate the inconsistency argument,
right?
But I am saying to you is that it doesn't necessarily mean that PSA is downgrading everything, right? The same box, SGC gave me some pretty terrible grades.
Right. Well, I don't think PSA is downgrading. I think it's the consistency. You hit that nail on the head. I think dude, first off, DCI grades harder than anything, and I think it's okay. Like, DCI raw card review, $10. I think if you look at their cards, I think you could say if you got a DCI 8, it's going to be a 9 or better. Like, they do an incredible job. They're very hawkish. And I think with a raw card review, that's actually okay. Like, to skew a little bit more tough, right? It's $10. I would say CSG is second. I would say SGC is third in grading toughness. And BGS is probably the most lenient. I think that's how I would put it. But they're all consistent where their standards are. At least listen, what to expect.
I hear you. I mean, I'll never know what they're doing consistency wise, and maybe they'll come out with some statistics of like what's grading, and like ultra modern segment. We previously we were going at 90% 10s or 70% 10s, and now we're getting 65% 10s. It'd be cool if something like that came out. I guess what I'm gonna go with here for PSA is, we all wanted some semblance of normalcy. Yes, the consistency, if that's an issue, that's a problem, but the cards are coming back. The backlog is getting taken care of. And if the reason for the inconsistency is that they needed to get through the backlog and they were putting, these graders on the backlog who are not experienced, they're going to get experience, I think. They're going to get trained, and the backlog's done. The pricing is down. They're right-sizing what they take in. I mean, this is what we all asked for.
So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so here's PSA. A PSA Gemman 10 is a virtually perfect card.
Yeah.
The image must be centered on the card within a tolerance not to exceed approximately 55, 45, 60, 40, right?
Yep.
On the front.
On the front, yeah. Back's a lot more lenient.
This is not a 60-40 split.
You'd have to zoom in a little bit on. I can't really say, but...
I mean, this is 60. This is... 2 of these would fit right here.
Yeah, that definitely looks very, very much on the left to the right. But, I mean, if I measured it, it's probably like 64-36 or, like 63-37. It's outside the range, but not like... I mean, I've seen Prism cards...
66.
I've seen Prism cards with worse centering than that get 10s. Jaw... where you could see the ones on the side where the left is clearly more than the right, and it still gets a 10. I mean, that's the thing about it. Doesn't have to be perfect, especially if everything else.
But that's the easiest part of the card. The Prism literally had dots. You could just count the dots and be like, wait, this one has 5 dots. This one has 3.
Not the 19 one. The 18, yes. But the 19 had it was even easier. It was a straight line on the side of the card. You could see, left and right. But look, that's why they give ranges, right? And I'm going to say this. I'll say that people will probably hate me, like, how's he not going, more after or whatever it is. There are umpires who have different strike zones than other umpires. That's the best explanation I can give. You know what I mean? What somebody
PSA hired Angel Hernandez.
They hired a whole bunch of umpires. And depending upon which ump is umping your submission, you're going to get a human element in it.
I had a cut out humping or umping.
Umping. So
They are not humping submissions.
So, and here's another way to think about it. If you submit enough cards like me, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, there are times I got back 10s on cards I didn't think should have been a 10. So if we're really going to be honest, though, I mean, look, it was never a situation where I got 160 10s out of 175, and I was like, wow, look at that. Whereas now I'm only getting 5 10s out of 170. I've never had that balance out. So don't get me wrong here. I'm not balancing it out, but there were definitely some subs that I got where I was like, wow, that card, I didn't think I was going to get a 10 on that. 100%. We got to be honest. So, if we're really being honest, right? I wasn't out there complaining about that 10 that wasn't really a 10, but I am here complaining about a sub full of 5s and 6s and 7s. So, take it from where it's coming from,
Okay. Any final topics, thoughts before we have an amazing lineup of guests. I thought this was a 1-day graduation. Boy, was I wrong. It's a 4-day graduation. So we have Gem Rate, the data analytics provider of how each of these companies grades, and just an incredible follower. Gem Rate, we're going to have them on the show tomorrow. We might air that Monday because tomorrow's our PWCC. Maybe we'll air it tomorrow. We'll see. And then we have Ray Schultz, the guy who runs National, on our show on Tuesday. So really amazing lineup.
I'm excited about that, right? Because we've done a lot of episodes talking about like how the show is modernizing, how the show is changing, and what the National should do or not do. Maybe you'll ask him whether or not he can put the show in Vegas every year because that's your idea. I'll see what he says.
Well, he's going to say it's going to cut into my margins.
Well, we'll see.
Are you going to pay for it, Andrew? Going to say?
Well, we shall see. You know what I mean? No, listen, it's amazing because to bring it back to your point in the beginning, right? Of don't gamble. My weekend's going to be nicer now because we hit something good in the Friday box. It shouldn't be like that. I should just be happy that we opened up cards. And, he opened up a box of Naruto cards, like this Japanese anime type of show that he watches, and he loved it. I couldn't tell you what any of those cards were, and maybe I need to do more of that. I know they're shiny, you know what I mean? But I didn't know if it's good, bad. I don't know what's going on, but he loved every minute of it. So maybe I got to stick with that, So it's good stuff. Remember, we're having fun here in the hobby. He took a Babe Ruth 1929 Cashin postcard today to school for show and tell, and I had to say in the morning, oh, don't worry, it's only worth a little bit. Don't worry, it's not worth that much. So that he was allowed to take it to school and no one gave him a hard time about it. But, it's fun. I watched today a hobby store with six grown men in it standing there opening boxes of Topps. And to me, that was enough to say, like, all right, we come on here and we talk about like the death knell to the hobby, and we talk about how it's not where we want it to be. All right, there is definitely evidence to the contrary out there. There's still people who are willing to open up some fun Topps product. It's continuity. It's been out there since 1951. It was ugly in 51 and nice in 52. But I think the hobby is going to be fun. What I want to talk to you about, in a future episode, maybe we can put like a poll up or something like that. What do people think about the sales prices in alt?
Did you know that I'm looking at that right now?
No, but I think it's an interesting thing because I saw people started to post in stories negatively about alt, basically saying like those guys, they need to promote it better. They're killing the comps. Like that one really got to me. Like they're killing the comps. So I want to talk to you about that. I don't know if we want to do it now.
We can do it now. And I think this is something I like this quality about me because this is a person I went in on early in the week. You guys remember that show? I was pissed. But I think he also did a really good job breaking it down in his story.
Who?
Chris Hodge, of what happened. And I think you could give praise where praise is due, and I think you could hold people accountable when that's important. That's the case as well. And maybe I'll get better at the way I word things and all that stuff. But like, I think he did a really good job of breaking down what happened. And I would go check out his story, but what we're talking about and referencing here is alt has this value. It's similar to a card ladder value, but again, we don't know how that's derived, right? We don't know the algorithm. And I said, okay, right after the auctions ended, I sent you a screenshot, and what did I say? I said, dude,
every one of these ended below their values.
like in the 50-60% range.
I went and looked. You know, a LeBron. Do you see what the LeBron Chrome refractor PSA 10 sold for? 41.
38K.
41.
With
I think because
buyers?
there's like a premium on it. It's not a same premium, but there's still a premium. That's like, I mean, we're that as a comp is an interesting comp. That's pretty low.
Do you think panic and blood in the water is going to be when pre-COVID prices are higher on blue chips than post-COVID? Than like right now? Do you think that'll be?
I mean, some cards are already there.
Some Zion base, but not a LeBron Chrome.
No, when LeBron Chrome the base gets down to $1,000, then we can talk. Because that's what I was buying them at. I'm selling them at $2,500 and thinking I was a genius. Oh, what an idiot. Dad, what are you gonna say?
I'm not gonna be able to paraphrase because he did a good job of explaining it in his stories, but I'm not sure I fully. You don't understand until you simply put. Can you you simply understand?
Yeah, you look at the story. I understand what you're saying. I put alt is when I bought my Tiger Woods card recently, I bought it from. Who did I buy it from? Did I buy it from?
It was a third-tier auction.
Was it SCP?
Not third
no,
tier.
It was Robert Edward. It was Robert Edward.
Robert. So, and I don't mean third tier like worse. I mean like
alt. You would think alt would be, in more of a category like, the online sellers, like a PWCC. But they clearly are not getting anywhere near the eyeballs that Ken Golden does and that PWCC does. So if you're a seller, those eyeballs make all the difference in the world. And if you're selling high-end cards, alt is not getting the eyeballs right now. PWCC clearly is. Ken Golden, look what he's doing. He's in Times Square. They are getting the eyeballs. And I think, if you're a buyer, there are bargains to be had.
Have you seen Golden's terms and conditions?
No, and I would have to read them to get into a legitimate conversation with you about them. And I will, if you want, we can talk about that, at another time. But my take on alt is, I wouldn't say, wow, they're killing the comps. I would say, if you're a seller, you have to be mindful of the fact that they're not going to get you as many eyeballs. And this hobby is an interesting thing. People in this hobby are very leveraged. They're very card rich. We know people who have 7 figures in cards, but don't have that liquid. Don't have anywhere near that liquid. They have a lot of their net worth tied up in the cards. And buying at PWCC allows you to leverage the cards to pay for a purchase, right? You can use your cards in the vault, take a loan, take an advance, sell cards. A typical auction house will even let you do that. We'll take a consignment from you to pay for your auction purchases, right? So if you happen to have a 7-figure, portfolio and you buy a $100,000 card, you don't even need that 100 liquid. Send us $150,000 worth of cards, and we'll give you the card, and we know we're going to sell them.
Alt has a version of that, but different. They allow you to bid 3x of what you have loaded into your.
But that's the thing. You still have to have cash in alt. You still have to have money in their account. That's very different, and I think that is part of the reason.
We're live with InvestiCard. Insert promo here.
I mean, people are.
That's not a promo. I'm joking, guys.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, even me, I've purchased a lot of cards, and you know what I have to do after I purchase them is, all right, what cards am I going to sell now to rearrange my portfolio this week to get the money to pay for this? Myself included. I'm not always, that flush with cash here. Whereas if I were on alt, I would have to have the cash in advance, or at least a portion of it in advance in their account. And I think that's part of the difference, and why you don't see, the same level of bidders and the same type of bidders on alt. Not shitting on alt. I mean, I think their tech is great, and I think that obviously Lior and those guys know what they're doing. Some of the cards they built, like Chris was saying in his story, some of the cards they bought for their fund, like the Curry, I mean, they nailed it. They bought the right stuff. They really did. So obviously, there's
when you VC money to buy cards, it's kind of it's a whole more industry. So weird. Honestly,
VC money doesn't cure everything. Ask Star Stock.
I mean, if Star Stock was able to created a fund, they might have been able to use VC money to buy the best cards. They would have probably bought Trae Young and Durant, so I take that back. But anyway, this is a great episode, guys. The PSA grading, a little bit of Celtics talk, a little bit about entitlement, max contract, is the NBA in good hands or not, PSA grading standards, and auction houses. And I'll end with this. I mean, let us know in the comments. We read every one. Agree, disagree. I agree with this, but I don't agree with that. Or, hey, you guys are somewhat right. I love when people listen to our show and add a nuance or tidbit that we don't know. Remember Probstein came on, he was like, these auction houses all bid it up to 60, 70%. Maybe alt is true market value.
Maybe the counterpoint. Maybe you are right. I mean, and to some people that's scary. Maybe they're not killing comps. Maybe they are the comp. By the way, we'll leave it like this before you end it. I may get us in trouble with the sponsor now, but one of the things you're saying about the PSA thing is that you think they should come out and they should respond. If you were running your smoothies and your place, you would say, you know what? If somebody has a comment, I'm going to answer it. I'm going to say, we did this wrong. We bought powdered bananas this month or whatever the hell we did wrong. And you know what? You're right. You got the shitty smoothie. You know what I mean? Like, you're right. Here's what we did, right? Or we say, we're seeing the data. We're seeing the complaints. We're going to make sure we do better. Something like that. We're sponsored by SGC. But, we try to bring you the best content in the world. And if PSA wants to come on and answer and talk about this, we would have you on. Like, I'll throw it out there, but I don't think SGC would have a problem with it. And if they did, it would lead to a hell of a conversation with us. So, I mean, it's for the good of the hobby. It really would be for the good of the hobby for a response. It doesn't have to be on our show. Go on any show. Go on your own show. You have a podcast. And you guys are the only ones with the data. So prove me right. Prove that there are 1 million people getting 9s and 10s and getting their good grades. They're just not out there yelling and screaming about it like the morons who are getting 5s and 6s go out there and yell and scream. I mean, you guys, I would love to see that because otherwise people are just left to their own devices to assume the worst, like my co-host.
I think that's what it's our true nature. I love point counterpoint. Like it's my sister standing right here. She'll say that's how our house was raised. My grandpa says one thing, my dad will say another thing. Counterpoint, the best kind of.
Did your sister get any? Did she get any messages yesterday from fans? Because if she did,
you get any messages from fans?
Yes.
What?
Yay!
She got messages from her own fans.
Oh,
only fans.
Oh man.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So, as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com, or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.